Good afternoon, the world at noon. I am Adeniyi Kehinde. In Nigeria, Governor Oyetola reaffirms development of the citizenry if re-elected. UN says conflict in South Sudan call for hike in food price. Powerful Tunisian union to stage nationwide strike. Australian government announces new carbon emissions target. Now the news in full. Osun State Governor, Southwest Nigeria, Mr. Adegboyega Oyetola, has reaffirmed that overall infrastructural development of the citizenry will continue to attract adequate priority if re-elected on the July 16th gubernatorial election. Governor Oyetola gave the assurance during commencement of the second phase of campaign towards his re-election in Ayedire, Olaoluwa, and Iwo local government areas of the state of Osun. Governor's office correspondent Sonya Onoride completes the story.
With the commencement of the second phase of campaign rally for the re-election of Governor Adegboyega Oyetola in the forthcoming gubernatorial election in the state of Osun, Governor Oyetola campaign train stopped by at Kuta, Ileogbo, Bodeosi, Ewo, and Ayedire, Olaoluwa, Ewo local government areas of the state of Osun to solicit votes in ensuring victory for Governor Adegboyega Oyetola. While speaking at the palace of Oluwo of Ewo, Olowu of Kuta, Olugbo of Ilegbo, Olubode of Bodeosi, Governor Adegboyega Oyetola affirmed that he is relentless in his focus towards infrastructural developments as well as welfare policies that impacts positively on the lives of Osun residents. In their separate remarks, Oluwo of Iwo, Oba Abdulrasheed Akanbi, Olowu of Kuta, Oba Hamid Adekunle Makama, Olugbo of Ilegbo, Oba Habib Adetoyese Agbade, Olubode of Bodeosi, Oba Noremi Abioye noted that the administration of Governor Adegboyega Oyetola has been a pleasant and smooth journey for the residents of the state, with incredible achievement in all ramifications across the state, stressing that voters in their domains will reciprocate the gesture at the July 16th gubernatorial poll. Addressing members of the All Progressive Congress at Ileogbo Town Square, Community Grammar School, Bodeosi, as well as Iwo Town, Governor Adegboyega Oyetola re-emphasized that developmental transformations as well as the overall welfare of the citizenry will continue to attract adequate priority for the benefit of all across the state.
Oṣù tó ń bọ̀ ọjọ́ ńlá ni o. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ nígbà yẹn ẹ mú káàdì ẹ lọ dìbò. Ọmọdé wọn alẹ̀ mọ́ ẹ kò sí wàhálà kankan fẹ́ni kankan o. Ẹ dìbò yìí tí ó sí àmì àmì. Ẹ sí ìdìbò.
The state chairman of the All Progressive Congress, Prince Gboyega Famodun, the Director General of Oyetola Campaign Council, Senator Ajibola Bashir, Senator Adeleke Oriolowo, representing Iwo Senatorial District, Honorable Yunusa Amobi, representing Ayedire Iwo Federal Constituency in the House of Representatives, the State Secretary of the All Progressive Congress, Alhaji Kamaruddin Bisi Alao, as well as former member of the State House of Assembly, Honorable Ajibola Akinloye, while extolling Governor Oyetola's impressive scorecard in all ramifications, implore residents in the state to ensure the victory of Governor Adegboyega Oyetola in the forthcoming gubernatorial election in sustaining the good governance currently unfolding across the state.
Our chance is very, 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 very high. We are sure of winning the election.
This time around, we are working around the clock to ensure its victory. And we are assuring our people, just like Mr. Governor has told them during his first term, he's going to do the same thing this time around.
We hope by 16th of July next month, our party, APC, we are going to win that gubernatorial election.
This one is very clear. Oyetola, he has everything to win this election. And I don't think we have a strong opposition in the state of Osun.
Governor Adeboyega Oyetola was accompanied on the campaign rally by his wife, Mrs. Kavayat Oyetola, the Deputy Governor, Mr. Benedict Alabi, former Deputy Governor, Mrs. Grace Titilayo Ponle, members of the State Executive Council, members of the State House of Assembly, stewards, and members of the All Progressive Congress from across the state. From the Governor's Office, Saya Ononide reporting.
Still on events in Nigeria, hundreds of eligible voters in the state of Osun are daily trooping to INEC's local government offices to collect their permanent voter cards, PVCs, ahead of the next month's governorship polls. This was the findings of OSBC roving reporter who monitored the exercise. It was learned that the collection of the PVCs will soon be taken to the ward level to facilitate the process of collection by electorate. A reliable source at one of the INEC offices disclosed to OSBC News that it is impossible to collect PVC by proxy as individuals will undergo data recapturing. The source, however, assured that everybody will have their PVC to take part in the voting proper come 16th of July. INEC is said to be working assiduously to make the gubernatorial election free, fair, and credible. The INEC Electoral Commissioner in the state, Professor Abdulgani Uraji, informed newsmen in Osogbo at a workshop that necessary machinery have been put in place to ensure each free exercise, stressing that the electoral umpire preparation has reached about 95%. UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, OCHA, has said the conflict and disease outbreaks are responsible for hiking food prices in southern Sudan. According to the statement, the prices have increased by 17% compared to last month, with the capital Juba being the most affected. In a statement, the UN also blamed food insecurity for deepling people's humanitarian needs in the country. It will be recalled that 7.7 million people, more than half of the country's population, are estimated to be severely inadequate food supply this year. According to the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, OCHA, they include 87,000 people who are already facing catastrophic conditions in the region. This is the World at Noon, coming to you from Osun State Broadcasting Corporation, Ilia Wiye Okebale Osogbo, Voice of the West. Now amid this message. Life is a mixture of sorrow and happiness, but how you handle the two impostors determines who you are. No is permanent. Government employers in Tunisia are to stage a nationwide strike in the latest challenge to the rule of President Kais Saied. The days of industrial action by the General Labour Union was called to protest against the economic policy under the president. He has in effect assumed personal rule after suspending parliament last year. The union has refused to engage with his plan to reform the constitution. The Tunisian employment minister, Mr. Nassereddine Nzibi, told newsmen that the strike will cost millions of dollars during a financial crisis, while the government is negotiating with international leaders to secure wheat, medicine, and fuel supplies to the generality of the people in the region. In the meantime, Australian Prime Minister Mr. Anthony Albanese has announced an increase in his country's carbon emissions target. He has pledged to cut carbon emission by 43% from 2005 level by 2030, up from the previous Conservative government's target of between 26% and 28%. Australia is one of the world's highest per capita carbon emitters. The new target brings the country more in line with other developed economies' Paris Climate Accord commitment. Canada is aiming for a reduction of 40% by 2030 from 2005 levels, while the United States has a target up to 52%. Ukraine's hope of joining the European Union will no doubt be a topic of conversation as the leaders of France, Germany, and Italy visit Kyiv today. The trip comes a day before the European Commission is due to make a recommendation on Ukraine's status as an EU candidate. Ukraine began the process of applying to join the EU in February, 4 days after Russia's invasion. It will be recalled that last month, French President Mr. Emmanuel Macron said the process would take several years or even decades. He suggested that Ukraine could join a parallel European community while it awaited a decision, saying this would be a way of anchoring countries which are geographically in Europe and share their values without suspending the EU's strict membership criteria to fast-track Ukraine's application. And here again are the highlights of the world at noon. In Osun State, southwest Nigeria, Mr. Adegboyega Oyetola, the governor of the state of the Virtuous, has reaffirmed that the overall infrastructural development of the citizenry will continue to attract adequate priority if re-elected on the 16th of July gubernatorial election. UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, OCHA, has said that the conflict and disease outbreaks in the region are highly responsible for hike in food prices in South Sudan. Employees in Tunisia are to stage a nationwide industrial action in the latest challenge to the rule of the president, Mr. Kais Saied. Australian Prime Minister Mr. Anthony Albanese has announced an increase in his country's carbon emissions targets. And that's what the world at noon, edited by Olushola Egwadofo and delivered by Adeniyi Kehinde. In today's news talk, a core member serving with the News and Current Affairs Department of OSBC, Femi Kushimo, writes on Nigerian youths and the scourge of drug addiction.
Addiction brings to mind different images for different categories of people. It can be difficult for people suffering from addiction to identify with the term addict. It can therefore be very challenging to convince youth and young adults that there are different health-related hazards associated with drug addiction. Today, Nigerian youths and teens commonly associate addiction with movie images and people they have seen as their worst references. According to the World Health Organization, substance abuse can be defined as a deliberate use of psychoactive substances such as alcohol and illicit drugs to boost the body system without medical direction. The health body estimated that about 76.3 million people battle alcohol use disorder in the world, leading to the deaths of about 1.8 million people every year. In 2011, World Drug Report showed that over 210 million people, constituting 4.8% of the world's population, indulge in drug abuse. A recent report by United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime indicates that the highest percentage of drug abusers in Nigeria are those between 10 to 29 years. News posits that drug addicts usually feel uncomfortable and do not function maximally when these drugs are out of their addicts. Many a time, these people are falling sick because they could not take the drug when they wanted. If their inability to get the drug is associated with financial difficulty, such addicts may resort to stealing or going into prostitution. Newstalk observes that drug addiction has an extremely awful and distressing impact on society. Some of the adverse effects of drug abuse include violence, erosion of societal value, mental illness, and untimely death. Peer influence and bad parenting are attributed to the cause of drug addiction in the society today, as it was gathered that parents who are involved in drug abuse may lure their children into drug abuse without their knowledge, while the kinds of friends the children move around with can influence them and drag them into substance abuse. Academic failure, high level of stress, loss of a loved one, poor social skills, and loneliness are other factors that could lead to drug addiction. Newstalk hereby calls on parents to spend more time with their children, show them love, and inculcate moral values in them. Parents must also do well to visit their children in school, especially those in higher institutions, to know the kinds of friends they move around with. The younger ones in primary, secondary, and higher institutions of learning be visited without prior notice. It is also pertinent for parents to remember that they need to establish a close relationship with their children's school teachers to get information about children and their behavior in school.
That news talk by core member serving with the Radio News and Current Affairs Department of OSBC, Femi Kushimo, wrote on Nigerian youths and the scourge of drug addiction. It was read by Olushola Egborofo. For more about us, you can visit www.osbcng.org. Thanks for listening to The World at Noon. Good afternoon.
OSBC Radio 10